What up, world? My name is Timothy DeJesus.
Hi everyone, Aldric here.
Hello folks, it's Kevin Kwok here.
Hi, this is Jeremey Sea. I just wanted to say this about bottoms-up perspectives. It's about real lives, real journeys, and real perspectives.
The whole idea behind bottoms-up perspective was from the word kampai, or in Asian culture, oftentimes we drink until the bottom of our cup is empty and we turn it over. So it's very much like just cheers, right? And building relationship. And that's what we're all about, is building authentic, solid relationships on a global level and being able to see things from a global perspective.
And no, we're not Alcoholics Anonymous.
We are here to be the voice of everyone.
I love the idea that we're real people and we get to share our experiences with real people just like you.
So we look forward to having you join us. What's going on, LinkedIn? So it's episode 30. What's going on Facebook as well and YouTube. And hey, I know right now we're competing with the U.S. debate. So if you guys are tired of hearing debate, you should jump over and watch some real people talk about happy things.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
So anyway, tonight Peter couldn't join us because he had a bike accident. But he's going to be on episode 32, I believe. So today we have Happy Coach Yuantai join us. So
Hello.
before we start, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
And before we destroy your name, you better tell us how to pronounce your name.
All right. My name is pronounced as Yuantai. It's a Chinese name. Most of the time, I'll introduce myself as Tai. I think that's easier to remember, just one syllable, Tai. So I'm from Singapore, born and bred here for the past 36 years, and being on the journey of happiness. Yep, so that's a little bit about me. And yeah, feel free to throw questions at me.
All right, sounds good. So I think happiness is a big part of our everyday, right? I think we all try to do our best to be happy, regardless of our circumstances. And there are days where we're sad. That's just kind of human nature, right?
Yep.
So let's start with our first question.
Yeah.
So what are things that make you guys happy?
I'm so thrown off because Jeremy's not here.
I know, I'm waiting for him to just pop out of nowhere.
So,
You gotta go
start?
first, Tim.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, for me personally, it's my little girl for sure. She definitely makes me happy. And listen, I think happiness is something that you don't necessarily have to tie to one inanimate thing. It could be something that you just strive to be happy on a day-to-day basis, regardless of what your circumstances are. And that's kind of how I try to live. There's always going to be ups and downs, but I generally try to be more positive than negative on any given day. So I think that's just kind of my view on happiness personally.
That's good.
Are you very happy that your book is finally coming out?
I'm very happy about that. That's been a process. That has been it's been a lengthy process. It's been a great learning process. It's been a worthwhile experience. But yes, I will be happy when the release date is finally here, for sure.
All right. Looking forward to the book. What's the title of the book?
The Business of Time. I don't want to do too much self-promotion, but it's something that I'll be talking about more and more on LinkedIn. So I'm excited, though. I'm definitely happy it's coming out. Definitely happy the date's almost here.
That's awesome.
All right. So I'll volunteer to answer that question. Well, I guess one of the things that make me happy, I realized that it's really the simple things and the intangible things. So like Timothy has mentioned, spending time with your loved ones. Yeah, and this period of time made me realize, and I'm sure some of you may agree as well, that it's just the simplest things. It's just spending time being present with your loved ones, because previously most of us might have been too caught up with our work or our business, and we kind of sacrifice time with our loved ones, our family members and our friends. And this period of time has really helped me to realign some of the focus and really spend more time with family members and with my friends to catch up with them. And that really makes me happy, because it doesn't have to be traveling all around the world. I absolutely enjoy that. But I just realized that just being present, it could be simple as having a meal and just having a talk, or just playing some board games, and that makes me happy. Yeah.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think it was in one of the episodes I actually mentioned that I tie happiness a lot with fulfillment. There was a period in my time where I had a lot of time, and I was like, I think the Americans call it like sleeping on the floor. You know, like where you have a lot of time sleeping on the floor, then naturally you have a lot of time to engage with yourself and you know what's going through your mind and your emotions, and you start thinking about your parents, your future, and things like that. It was those period in time where I didn't really appreciate having too much spare time. I think the emphasis is too much, because then we start to think way too much that is not too productive, and then it becomes emotional, and then the negative spiral will come along. So I learned from that, and I think my subsequent life experience just accumulated. I enjoy being busy in a way that I'm moving towards the goals that I set out for myself, and some of the goals, practically speaking, might not be possible in my lifetime. I do not know, but it gives me a lot of joy knowing that I'm moving towards it every day. It gives me a lot of joy to know that the friends around me, they are doing what is possible and to their potential. Like, I'm very happy that Timothy is doing his book, and his book is coming out. I think he has a lot to share, and he's already sharing it on a bottoms-up perspective. It's just that he deserves an avenue where everyone can hear him more. There's a lot. So I'm very happy for my friends who are actually trying to punch at a higher level. Very, very happy. Just before I hand over to Kevin, I'm also very happy that the mentees that I have, they actually act upon and more on my advice, because I think what's happening today is that it seems like my keyword, before I get throttled, it seems like the sense of entitlement is pervasive, my view, and that many people take success as the way that it will come to them. But I think 2020 has proven that it's not the case. And when your boat capsizes, the important thing is, are you able to save yourself? I don't say it in a selfish way. I'm saying it in an individual and responsible manner, that if you want to take care of other people, if you want other people to be happy, first learn how to take care of yourself, and then help other people to be happy. That's what I think. It's a little tweak to today's message, because I just want to bring in the relevance of 2020. Yeah. That's it from me.
No,
Yes.
I think you're right, Aldric. I mean, it's, you have to take everything as it is and take it day by day. And that's, I think, one of the lessons 2020 has proven us, that, I mean, at this point, I think the best laid plans have gone astray, and we're all living day to day. So the best you can do is the best in that moment. And also, as you said, support your friends and, be happy for them as they're successful. And, my take on it has always been, if I do well, I want everybody around me to also do well. So, I think everything you said is awesome, man.
That's awesome. So for me, I think happiness is really based on our perspective, right? Since this show's called Bottoms Up Perspective, right? So I went through some hard times in my life where, at a younger age, where I went through some challenges where I felt like, oh, I was on top of the mountain and then I came all the way down. And, some people have heard my story, lost a lot of things all at the same time. And it allowed my mind and perspective to change, because happiness doesn't actually, it's not based on wealth. It's not based on what the world sees as success. It's based on our mindset. Mm-hmm. So for me, and oftentimes it's the simple things, right? I am just happy to be able to wake up this morning and be able to take in air and walk out of my room, because we're never promised tomorrow. Mm-hmm. As long as I have my mind. So if people don't know, my mother has Alzheimer's, right? Yep. So throughout the years, I see her slowly, her mind diminish, right? And I always told my wife and I talk, and those of you who in the audience might know Jen, I think the hardest thing is for someone to lose their mind. Because as long as I have my mind, I have the ability to change my perception, to change my perspective, to have a better tomorrow, right? But once you lose that, it's really kind of outside your control, right? So for me, I feel a lot of times we're unhappy because we tell ourselves we aren't happy, right? I've seen people in very poor villages where they're struggling and they're happy. And I see very wealthy and successful people that want to commit suicide and they don't want to be alive. So for me, happiness is all based, we have control. It's all based on us. So for me, it's simple, right? It's really, to me, it's like, man, if we can look past ourselves and focus, just like Aldric said, Tim, if we can look past ourselves, right, and start focusing on other people. This is something I learned probably about when I started my company. I went through some challenging startup times, and something shifted in my head. If I just focusing on how can I bring value to other people, and not focus so much on my bank account or my works, how we're doing from an ROI perspective, but and start investing in my clients, investing in the team, my partners, and just not think about myself. And eventually, the ties change. And I read some books that said that, and now I'm a firm believer. It's like, hey, shift your perspective off of me and change it to we. And when you change it to we, things start changing. So that's my perspective on happiness. So, yep.
I think it's great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Kevin, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
Right. Yeah, I like something that you mentioned, that happiness is really based on ourselves. And just now, Aldric mentioned as well, it's about fulfillment. So my journey with happiness, my quick background, I actually graduated from university with a degree in pharmacy. So I was actually practicing as a pharmacist, as a retail pharmacist for a good 7 years before I make a mid-career switch and I went into coaching. So the fulfillment part, I agree with Aldric. It's about happiness is about fulfillment. So it's not that I didn't like my previous job as a pharmacist. I still enjoy it, but I felt that I was reaching the two whereby I wasn't developing personally and I wasn't growing personally. So then I took the leap of faith and jumped into something totally different. The fulfillment, that's very important. And Kevin, you mentioned about it's about there's a sense of control. We can choose to be happy. It's really dependent on us, because there are a lot of things that are out of our control, like for example the economy and so on and so forth. But there are also things that are within our control. And what we can control is how we respond to the different challenges and the different situation that we are put in. So I absolutely agree with you, Kevin. That's a very good point that we can choose to be happy.
So while I have you on here, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to be a happy coach?
Yeah, because I find that it is a very important part of our health, of your emotional and mental health that is often overlooked in coaching. In coaching, we want to bring a person from point A to point B, but often that person, if he or she it's not satisfied, they are not satisfied with the current situation, it is very hard for them to then take the step forward and change. So then I figured that calling myself the happy coach, and because I have been through this journey, at one point of time I was almost depressed because I had a relationship and then I got engaged and then I broke up. That relationship broke up. So that point of time was a very dark period of time for me. So I've been through this period of time and I know how it feels like to be depressed, to feel down, to feel that there's no hope. And this is, as a coach, this is what I really want to help people to realize that they can choose to be happy, because a lot of times people they don't realize that they have this power to make the choice and they are just resigned to whatever situation that they are facing. Yeah, so that's why I call myself the happy coach. That's really part of my vision, to bring people to realize the fulfillment in their life.
I think you're right too, because you know what I noticed as well. When you're sad or when you're upset, it's infinitely harder to get things accomplished. It's so much easier to get distracted when you're not in a good headspace.
Mhm.
So I think what you said is very important. I definitely appreciate what you're saying.
Thank you.
So I think it kind of leads into our next question too. So what do you think affects our happiness?
What affects?
Could be anything. I mean, I think it's, you know, again, I think you hit the nail on the head, Kev, which is, right, it's our choice at that point. So, you know, I mean, it could be as simple as you trip on something and you scrape your knee and now your day is messed up, if you really want to take it that deep, right? But, you know, or you could just let stuff like that roll off your back and not bother you. So, you know, I think it's really, again, it's a matter of perspective and mindset, and not allowing certain things to affect your happiness. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's certain things that are really close to your heart that when, you know, you get affected on a deep emotional level, it's much harder to get over that than the example I just used, which is, you know, scraping your knee. But at the end of the day, you still have a choice to take a step back, take a deep breath, and try to move past it and try to see either a positive in the situation, or that it's not so bad, or that, you know, you can move on from it. And you can choose to spend your time more effectively by focusing on good than the negative in that specific situation. So, you know, I think anything can affect your happiness, but it's a matter of what you allow your mind, like where you allow your mind to go with it.
I think it also goes with Tim. I like what you said earlier too. I think entitlement kind of plays a big part in our happiness, right? Because I think we come from a place of, you know, even Singapore, the U.S., you know, I would consider those first world countries, you know. So I mean, we have what we need, right? We're not like hunting for our food. We have electricity. We have water come out of our faucets. It's not like we're, you know, struggling here. And I feel we're very blessed. You know, we all have, you know, roof over our head, you know. So I think entitlement sometimes causes us to be unhappy because we're so used to our way of living, right? Like if today I have to go move to an apartment, I might not be as happy about it or excited because I've lived in a pretty decent sized house for so many years, right? And I wouldn't be excited to move back to, let's say, where I live in college, you know? So I mean, so I think sometimes comfort plays a big part.
Yeah.
And our happiness and what we're used to, right? So,
Mhm. Yeah, I agree totally with you because as human beings, we don't like to move out of our comfort zone. So when we are challenged and we are pushed out of our comfort zone, that's when we start to get a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, but if nothing else, I think COVID has really let us realize that we constantly need to be challenged and push ourselves out of the comfort zone. That is when we can increase our resistance and robustness. So I was reading this, just a little sidetrack. I was reading this book called Anti-Fragile, and it's by Hassim Taleb, the guy who wrote Black Swan. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend you to read it because it's a lot about the mindset. It's a lot about mindset of adjusting your mindset such that you actually welcome challenges, you welcome some stress, you welcome some people pushing you out of the comfort zone, and that will actually set us on a path of growth, and you'll be able to help us to be happier as we overcome the challenges of life, because challenges and changes are constant in life. So we just got to accept it. And then if we can't accept it, we will find it very difficult to be happy. Yeah.
That's good.
Point.
I think that just to tie back to the question, what will affect our level of happiness? I think at the core, it's if we allow things to affect us.
That's good.
I think I'm going to draw an example from physics. There's this idea of physical resonance. So the table doesn't shake when your phone shakes or vibrates, because your table doesn't share the same level of resonance with your phone. But if your table is if it shares the same level of resonance, when your phone vibrates on the table, the entire table vibrates. So it's the same logic to explain for earthquakes. When there's tremors, because the tremors are strong enough, it can shake every single physical and material object that's on top of it, because that level of resonance is just too strong. So for me, I had a lot of low points in my life very early on. I fell from grace, so it's like I could have been a top student the year before, and this year I failed my major exams. I had to go back to repeat. And when I went back, I experienced life in a different way. So same lecturers, juniors now in the same class, they all look at me with, like that. So I learned to grow like a thicker skin on top of my skin now. From then, actually, that I know, hey, it doesn't mean anything. So what I mean, like, I can allow myself or allow my day to be run or influenced by how people look at me. But the thing is, it's not productive in any way. First, they are who they are. I'm not them. But I'm wasting my time because of how I allow other people to influence me. So I take that to the rest of the different types of frame of mind or the state of mind that we have. Whether we want to be happy, whether we want to be challenged, whether we want to be busy and we want to be productive, do we want to do it? If we want to do it, I think the first condition for us to consistently do it is to ignore everyone else. and I put that as a principle. And it applies. You want to be successful? Ignore everyone else. If you want to be left alone, ignore everyone else. Why? Because if you want to do something, chances are everyone else is going to be against you. And it's very funny. The moment you set your mind to do something, everyone else is against you. It can be benign, like, it could be it could be family, right? Why are you working so hard? Don't you think you should watch some TV? Or it could be like, oh, you left work at 9 p.m. Why the moment you're home you're writing a book? Or like, why are you always with your phone? Why are you posting? But if there's something that pushes you, I think do it to a point where I might be misinterpreted for being selfish. I've grown to accept that if we have something that we want to achieve in our life, being branded as selfish is just a label. Accept it. I mean, it's fine. So I think the way is one, not to allow emotions to affect us. So it's like metronome. Just go. And then the other thing would be, we really need to handle ourselves in a way that when everyone says something else, it's fine, because this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. It's fine. Maybe I'm banging my head against the wall, but it is what it is. So that's what I think about it. That's how I think about it.
I definitely resonate with that, Aldric. And especially if you try to pay attention to everyone's opinion, you'll get, what I like to call paralysis by analysis. You'll be stuck because, you'll listen to this person's opinion, that person's opinion, and three people are going to have three different opinions. And then it's like, which way do I go? And at a certain point, you just have to make a decision. So I definitely resonate with what you said, because, at a certain point, you just have to say, well, you know what, this is my path. And sometimes you fail and it's a learning experience, and that's okay. It's okay to fail. And, I've failed at certain things in my life, and I'm still smiling and happy. Why? Because number one, I learned from it. Number two, okay, I tried it. It didn't work. Big deal. It's not a problem. It's okay. So yeah, I definitely resonate with that.
And I think that's where the phrase follow your heart, right?
Yep.
I think sometimes we know in our heart, what we hear, but oftentimes we're influenced by those who are closest to us usually,
Yep.
And I experienced that myself throughout my journey, especially in my younger years, right? Because especially being Asian, listening to my parents and what they want versus really maybe what my heart wanted, right? And it puts us it sets us back. But when we choose to follow our own heart and we make those mistakes and not getting us there, you don't regret, because it's like you follow your heart and you fail, but I'm still happy about it because at least I tried it, right? But oftentimes I do agree with both of you, just hearing all the noise. There's so much noise out there, and especially today, even social media, right? Like I'm a social media, I own an agency and I coach, I teach, consult, whatever you want to call it, right? But the truth is, there's no right way to do it. And I am not, prideful enough to go, oh, I've been doing this for 20, 30 years, so this is the only way to do LinkedIn. If I told you that, that's BS, It's not true. I've seen very successful people who talk about their failure and that they grew a very successful business. And I've seen people who just flex all day and grew a very successful business. You have to just do you. And that's what authenticity is. Authenticity is not Kevin doing Tim, oh, what works for Tim? Let's just follow what Tim's content is doing, right? And all four of us have our own voice. We have our own way of doing things, but none of it is wrong, And so oftentimes you'll see someone message you personally, hey, you're doing this wrong. I have a better method of doing it. This is how you should do it. And I'm like, why are you telling me how to do it? You don't know my story, And it's interesting because we live in this world. I think everyone loves to tell other people how to do it instead of like, hey, how can we work together to pull together to make us be able to do the way we do it successfully, right? Because all four of us probably have different things that make us happy.
Yep.
So this leads to kind of, it's not part of the questions, but I just want to ask, all of us have met that person that's super negative constantly?
Definitely.
I call them the Igor. So How do you usually respond? Do you have that one friend that's always negative? I want to hear your experience and how do you encourage him or her? Yep.
Mine is going to be the quickest, simplest answer. It's 3 words.
I know it's gonna be one word. Is it starting with
It's
I?
3 words. Cut them off. That's it. I don't. Like when you have that person. I mean, I'll try to encourage you, but if you just are beyond encouragement, I don't have time for that. It's just all right. Thanks. I'll see you later. And I don't burn a bridge, but I'm just like, I just tune them out. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna spend my time somewhere else. So
But
3
do
words,
you
cut them off.
still allow them to continue saying what they say while you tune them out? Is that what you mean?
No, I'm just like, I'll be like, okay, that's cool. Have a great day, and then I'm
That's so patronizing.
that's it. I don't have time for it. I really don't, because I've dealt with, when I was younger, I used to give people all the time in the world. And I spent so much time like dealing with negativity and realizing like I was setting myself on a bad path. I myself was becoming negative. And I was like, I just don't need this in my life. So, like I said, 3 words, cut them off. That's what I do.
Right. So yeah, I agree with you, Timothy. Actually, that's what I'll do as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But as a coach, I've learned to be a bit more empathetic, because I used to be strictly I'll just cut them off immediately. Yeah. So but while doing that, I realized that different people are at different stages, and they have different levels of how they respond to other people's criticisms of them. Yeah, so like Aldric, you have mentioned earlier, how they respond. Because for me, I don't generally, I'm not quite affected by comments around me. Yeah, because I take them in my stride, because I understand and I accept that there'll always be people, for whatever reason, they'll disagree with you, they will hate on you, there'll always be haters. Yeah, so I just accept that. Yeah, but I realized that some people are a bit more sensitive. Yeah, so for me as a coach, I try my very best to help them, to point them and to guide them the way, and try to empower them that, hey, you can actually choose to ignore some of these haters. That they always be there. They always be there, no matter how well you do. And in fact, the better you do, some people, you just find that you have more and more haters in your life. If you're doing something significant, if you're making a positive impact somewhere somehow, you just find that somewhere somehow you find that you have more and more haters. But at the same time, there will also be more and more people who are positively impacted. They identify with your values, and then they want to rally behind you. So that's the positive side. Yeah. So coming back to the point, I realized that there are people at different stages. So I try to help them along. But if really they are too toxic, I'll go with Timothy. I'll really just cut them off and draw the line. Yeah.
And let me table what I said. If you're a friend of mine, like a true friend, then I got your back. Of course, if you're going through tough times, like that's different. But like just everyday people who I have just a very small acquaintance with, or just negative. Okay, thanks for your time. Have a good one.
I think I don't have a standard message for people who are too negative around me. I guess by default, I don't really spend too much time on that, because I could be too busy with the things that I'm doing. That's one thing. But if I catch a glimpse of what's there, I think that I would typically say that it's better to spend our time on productive means. But I think these days I have to be very careful. I'm a very straightforward person. I'm very straightforward. So, and it comes to a point where there are times where I have to defend myself, that I'm not aggressive, I'm just being straightforward. But as with different personalities, some people are very social oriented. They read they read the expressions and emotions. So I always like to say that, look, listen to the message. Don't shoot the messenger. It has nothing to do with the messenger. It's because if it's just the way he said it, that make you very uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that the message itself is not valuable. So I always like to say that. So I will start off by saying, I'm unemotional when I say this. This is what I mean. Take it as it is. Okay. So if you really think that you're feeling negative and things like that, and you do not know what makes you happy, just go with the flow. Is it about go grab a book or something, just disconnect? Is it about finding a good cup of coffee? I typically prescribe being alone, not because I encourage isolationism, but because the environment that we are in now is too noisy. And if you want to have a peace of mind and you want to get yourself out of the negative spiral, it's actually a very bad idea to surround yourself with people and media these days. These days, I qualify, these days. I think it's a very bad idea. So
Aldric endorses social distancing.
In a productive way.
Literally.
In a productive way, I mean, like, whether it's a group of 5, a group of 6.
Hey, you should be into. You should have been in tonight's presidential debate.
Aldric would be a good moderator, man. He was great.
I'm not too sure about that one, but I think when it comes to people who are negative, there's a lot of depth in that. Just based on the interactions that I have, but I just want to keep it like at 2 levels. One, there are people who are deflated because they don't reach their goals, or they just keep hitting the walls. So I think with those categories, it's easier to have more productive conversations because it's directed, right? It's like, hey, I've been there before. Let me just share with you. You know, like maybe you can do this, maybe you can do that. Just give it a try. Because sometimes people just can't see the pathways ahead of them, so they just they cross the river by touching the rocks in front of them. So there are those that are negative in that way. They are just deflated. And then there are those where, simplistically speaking, they tend to have a more negative outlook in life. Then whether we can cut them off or not, I'm not too sure. No, why I say that? What if that person that is very negative is very close to you at home? Your mom, your aunt, or your grandfather. Can you cut them off? You can ignore.
Yeah, no,
You can't cut them
friends
off.
and family is a different ballgame, but
Yeah.
acquaintances is easy.
So I think for those, I guess listen, don't assault. If you know what I mean, like listen, like yeah, but deep down you know that there's a lot more things that's worthy in life. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think that's my take too. There's a balance of cutting people off. I'm the same way. I keep myself pretty busy, so I'm kind of introverted in a way. Besides when I do live shows, then I talk to everyone. But most of the time I'm completely fine staring at my screens and being home. But hey, it keeps me out of negativity. But I do agree. I give people a lot of chances. I'm pretty patient, but I'll listen to them, but I don't let their negativity affect me, right? I choose not to allow it to, and then eventually if it continues, I try to encourage, then it's like, okay, you're really negative, I'm done. So that's my take. Yeah.
So Yuantai, is it very difficult for a coach to really come to an acknowledgement that, hey, you know, my coachee is really negative and I really have to cut you off? Like, you know,
Yeah. What I'll do before I actually work with someone is I'll have to qualify them. Yeah, because some people, they are not ready for whatever reason, and you maybe or you might not be the person to help them. So you just got to go through a process of sitting down with them to explore and to qualify them whether they are ready for coaching. So for me, I'll be very ready to just say no if I feel that the person is not ready or I'm not the right
You're
fit.
not happy enough.
Yeah. Yeah, because if that person is, he or she have emotional baggage and a lot of emotional baggage. My focus is more on career coaching and life coaching, and of course happiness is part of it. But I'm not trained as a psychologist or counselor. Yeah, even though I've done counseling before, I've counseled people who in my previous profession as a pharmacist, I counsel people to help them to quit smoking. And then now I also do a bit of counseling as on a voluntary and a passion project based kind of thing. But I'm not qualified as a counselor. So I'll always make sure that the person is more or less pre-ready to go on a coaching journey, and he or she is ready to make changes. Yeah. Not get out of the depressed stage. Yeah. If he or she is in the depressed stage, then I'll refer that person to somebody more qualified for me than me to address the issue. So the thing is, in a way, you have to pick your fights or pick your battles. Yeah. So for me, I'll choose to help those people that I can really help. So it's a two-way thing. It's not just a one-way thing. Yeah.
I really like that because I think I think we can all relate, right? Because we all do some sort of consulting, coaching, or helping people, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with marketing and business, right? Oftentimes people come and they to J29 and they want us to transform their business, right? Via marketing. But a lot of times, the problem isn't in the marketing. There's something behind the scenes too that needs to be fixed, right? Because for a successful business to work, right, there's a lot of parts to it. And it's not just fixing your social media or your digital presence. Is just a small part of the business, and you see people on social media and you're like, oh, they're so successful. Well, that's an assumption. Anyone can look successful nowadays, right?
Yeah.
You don't know until you're in the business. And I think that's the same thing. You can look at a person and go, oh, they look very happy. But until you really get to know them, oh, they're very not happy. You have no idea, right? So I think I love that because as a coach, some people can't be helped. If they're not ready, you can't help them. So like a lot of people think they're ready to transform their business, but then they hold on all this stuff, right? Or they're impatient, and you can't help them no matter what you do, right? And I think I respect that. It's picking your battles. I really like that. So
yeah, and that makes you happier as well because for me, I'm in it for the long run to help people, to serve people, and then the thing is, if you yourself you have nothing to give away, it's not going to be sustainable. Yeah, you have to be overflowing. For me, in terms of mindset, and Kevin, for you, maybe in terms of your skill sets, and then also the mindset and how you're going to help people through digital marketing to help them expand their business. But if you are empty on the inside, you feel unfulfilled, you feel unhappy. You're not going to serve your clients, your customers to the best of your ability. So that is very crucial.
So I like to ask you guys this question. So you talk about fulfillment a few times. And I read a lot of books that talk about, finding your passion, the importance of being fulfilled. So to all of you, what does fulfillment look like? How do you find fulfillment for the audience out there? Yeah.
For me personally, fulfillment is, I don't know how I say this. It's kind of like a never-ending quest, right? Because for me, once I've completed a project, I'm on to the next thing. So I don't know that I'm ever necessarily quote unquote fulfilled, but I feel happy when these projects and these tasks get completed and there's movement. So that I think is a version of fulfillment, but I don't know if I ever have a feeling of like, hey, I'm on cruise control right now. I think financial freedom for me maybe would be fulfillment, to be able to vacation and not have to worry about, oh man, hey, I got to keep the doors open, right? So, but aside from that, I mean, I think, fulfillment for me is just an ongoing thing. And I think, it depends on the people themselves, but I don't allow the idea of fulfillment to necessarily affect my happiness. Because again, I just look at it from a, hey, I'm doing things, I'm progressing, that makes me feel good, I'm happy. So I think, like I said, fulfillment looks different for everybody. For me, I don't. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's an ongoing thing for me personally.
Yeah, I agree with Timothy. So for me, fulfillment does not mean that you go into cruise control. Yeah, fulfillment's ongoing. I totally agree. Because fulfillment for me, it's about finding that something in your life that you're really passionate about, and then it aligns with your values, and then going all in on that. Yeah. So there'll always be something that drives you on. Yeah. So at least for me. So if you can't find that something that drives you on, you need to find it. You need to find that something that the moment you open your eyes in the morning and you wake up and you think, oh, I'm going to help someone today. I'm going to help someone to have a better mindset and to become happier in his or her life. So that drives me on. And then you got to find that something that the moment you open your eyes, this is what I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So it's not about going into cruise control mode, because personally for me, going into cruise control means that I become unhappier. That's but yes, that is exactly what happened to me in my previous job as a pharmacist. I was too much in cruise control, and then I kind of become unhappier. Yeah, so there's a distinction, at least for me, for fulfillment and cruise control. Fulfillment does not mean that you go into cruise control, but fulfillment, you just find something that keeps driving you on. Yeah.
And I think that would be the way I think about it, which is what really drives us on. And actually, in part to this question, how I think about it is, we look around us and see how other people are living their lives. Then we should question if that is the way we see ourselves. Is that the fulfillment that we want? Meaning to say, I have nothing against the recent movement on FIRE, which is Financial Independence, Retire Early. I think that's the acronym FIRE, FIRE. I have nothing against that. I can understand why people are rushing to retire early, because we don't have a choice on what we want to study in the first 20 years of our life. And the moment we graduate, we are thrown into a working environment where we don't believe in what we do. I'm being very honest here, right?
I agree.
And we have to do it because, we need to put food on the table, right? So there's a lot of albatross or the ropes around our neck. So removing them one by one, I can understand why people are dying to retire earlier, and I can understand why people do funny things by dumping their entire net worth onto the stock market or the real estate market in desperation. And I qualify in quiet, extreme desperation. To me, I think it's very clear. It's unspoken, but it's very clear. But the thing is this: if you manage to do it, let's say if you manage to retire based on your benchmark, let's say you reach a 1 million net worth, or you have a cash flow of how much per month, let's say, does it mean that you are fulfilled? So let's just explore what's not. I think that's not. Because you might have achieved it, but you still haven't found that North Star in your life. You will still grapple with, okay, so what should I do now that I don't have to do what I don't want to do? So what should I do? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So a lot of retirees in this part of the world now, the way they think about things is, I served my time. I've paid my dues. Now my kids should take care of me. Tim, if this sounds weird to you, it's just how Asians think about things.
No, I mean, I've lived it, so I understand it. So.
Yeah, and you think about it this way: if you're still young, like let's say in your late 50s or 60s, you retired from your job and your kids are taking care of you, and if all you do every day is to sit at a coffee shop and drink coffee, okay, I don't judge, but if it's me, I'll be like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I can do much more, right? So I think fulfillment. So that's what I think it isn't. Then what is? So it's the reverse. I think it's the act and the thought that we can continuously contribute in our own way every day that matters. That's how I think about fulfillment. And because of that, you act, you get busy, you're happy. It's not unhappy busy, it's happy busy.
Yeah.
And of course, as you gain traction, people are gonna come and say, oh, what a jackass, he's living a life, telling people what to do and blah blah. But then the thing is, just you're happy living your life.
Yeah.
Right. So just compare to what we see and what's not. I think then the choice will be very clear. At least that's to me. If I can tie happiness with fulfillment, that's what I think. Genuinely.
Can I add on to you, Aldric? So like, a lot of what you said is spot on. I mean, for me personally, here's what I view early retirement as. I don't view it as, hey, I don't have to work. It's I work, but it's doing something I want to do in the time that I want to do it. But I also have assets that are performing for me that are continuing the cash flow. So I'm not struggling. I'm continuing to build assets. So, it's not like, okay, I'm in retirement. I have $1 million, and yet, every month that $1 million goes like this.
Yeah.
It's about building assets that are going to continue to work for you over time, while during your day-to-day, you can do something that you enjoy that you can earn money with. But at the same time, if it's like, hey, I'm going to take 3 weeks and I'm going to go to Singapore, and I'm just going to be in Singapore, visit Aldric, visit Jeremey, explore. Maybe I'm going to stay in Singapore. Maybe I'm going to, catch a flight and go to Japan because I can. That to me
will be 2030, man. That will be 2030.
Yeah. But that to me is nirvana to me. That's I think what I would see, I guess, fulfillment being is, okay, I don't need to work to retire. I work because I want to and I enjoy it. I want to continue to build assets, but at the same time, if I want to take a break, there's nothing that's super dependent on me being here and doing in order for it to continue to move. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that to me is like the ultimate goal, and that's what I strive for.
Yeah, I think for me, fulfillment is finding our purpose, knowing we have a purpose to be alive, to be present. And I think a lot of times everyone's purpose is different, or why. There's people who are pastors and they feel very fulfilled. There's people who are farmers and they're very fulfilled. So I mean, fulfillment is on the eye of the beholder, right? That really depends. Everyone's feels fulfilled in different ways, but I think at the end of the day, for humans, there's hope. As long as we know there's a hope, we feel more fulfilled. It's usually when people feel like not fulfilled is when they feel there's no more hope. Either every day I wake up at 8. I go to this job. I hate it. And I've been there, I don't enjoy this job and it's like the worst thing. And then I get home and all I do is just complain about the job, right? And then I have to do it again tomorrow. And because the time is, and we talked about this in previous episode, right? If time is our most valuable commodity, I think it's gaining that time back. Like Aldric said, instead of being on a leash, where, you know, a lot of us do go to a job because it's a means to pay the bills in order to survive, right? If right now we told people, hey, you don't have to pay rent, food's free, how many people will still be working? The only people that will be working are the people that are really passionate about their job and enjoy what they're doing, or everyone else would quit. You know. So I think, you know, when we talk about fulfillment, right, is I like what Tim said, is finding that where you feel like you can wake up, and Tay said that as well, where you wake up and you're like, I'm excited to do whatever, you know, I'm getting ready to do. And I remember there was numerous jobs I was not excited about doing, you know.
So many.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I get to wake up, and even though there's been times I was in corporate positions that I might have even got paid more, right? But now I get to go, hey, today, you know, I don't want to talk to my clients. I have the choice. You know, I don't have to talk to them. They might be pissed at me, but I don't have to talk to them. You know, I have control of, hey, today I'm just going to hang out with my kids, you know. And to me, that's awesome. I can go, hey, today I'm going to just make less money, but I have the option to choose that. And I think that's why all four of us are entrepreneurs, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this, go ahead, Tay.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think Timothy brought up a very important point, and you yourself as well. It's about building assets. But most of us will understand assets as the financial assets of growing our wealth and income, and that's very important. We need to have that in order to have more options. But I also want to put in an idea of these emotional assets that we really need to start building as well, because when we grow old, we don't want to be running out of these emotional assets and find, hey, suddenly my life is so meaningless. So this also ties into the point, Kevin, that you brought about finding the purpose, the why, because this actually will form a very important part of our emotional assets. So something that we really need to find and discover. And of course, some people may take 1-2 years and then they discover their why, but some people may just find that it's an ongoing process. They may not find their why until maybe they hit their middle age or even later. So it is that journey, but we got to understand that it's very important that we look to build on our emotional assets as well, so that as we grow older, we do not run dry, we do not have our emotional tank going down. Yeah, so that is very important for us to remain happy throughout our lifetime.
That's good. So I think this leads to my last question for the night, right? Tips, you know, Ty, you probably have some tips for your, you know, your people you coach, right? So what are some tips that you all can share that helps you stay happy?
Yeah. So I'll just go first. The first thing is to be helpful. So that is also part of my core value. And I realized that if you start to be helpful, if you reach out to other people, then you start to take away the attention on me, on my situation, and you start to look at other people. So different people have different capacity. So you can start off, it doesn't need to take a lot to be helpful. It can be as simple as just greeting your neighbor and just asking your neighbor how is he or she doing, and just go beyond the casual conversation, but really just set aside 10 minutes, just really talking to that person, or maybe even invite your neighbor over to your place for coffee or for a meal. Yeah. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. You got to start somewhere and start to be helpful and ask that question of yourself: how can I help this person? How can I add value to this person? And then by doing that, you find very paradoxically that if you give more, if you try to sow more into other people's life, the way the world works in strange strange ways. You find that more and more things will come to you. But of course, you don't start with that in mind. You start with really just wanting to help people, just wanting to make a little small positive impact in that person's life, and being helpful will help you set you on the way to happiness. That is the first letter. I actually have a happy acronym, HAPPY. So H stands for being helpful, and that help you to be happier, not just look at your situation, not just look at your own challenges, but start to look at other people. And there's surely some way that you can help that person.
What about you, Tim?
So I kind of have two statements that tie in with one another. And I'll explain why I've arrived at this place. But the first thing is stop caring so much. And I mean that in a very sincere way, and I'll explain why I've arrived at this place. But the second tie-in to that is to try to keep your emotions like this. I gotta know which way I'm going on the screen, but try to keep them even, because when you experience a lot of emotional highs and emotional lows, that's what tends to I think in my personal experience, a lot of emotional lows can lead to more emotional lows. So trying to stay even is very important. But when I say stop caring so much, I'm a very empathetic person. I know it doesn't seem like it when I say I'm quick to cut people off. But,
No, you're very genuine.
Yeah.
You're very genuine.
Yeah, but the reality is, like, if I care about you, I care about you deeply. So, for me personally, but the thing is, in my earlier stages of life, I would care about a lot of things very deeply. And then when somebody hurts you, it hurts you so bad that it can kind of send you into a tailspin. And I've had moments like that in my life. And I started to realize, like, I can't let people in so quickly. And so I kind of built up a wall and realized, like, okay, I can't care about certain things just that much because they don't matter that much. The things that matter, we've talked about on the show, family, friends, relationships, keeping yourself in a good mental state, right? Those are the things that matter. A lot of the minutia around you in life doesn't matter, and you can't let it affect you, because then it's very easy, like I said, to get into an emotional tailspin and have somebody make somebody's comment online mess up your day, or hey, something bad happened in the day. I had a client that was a jerk, and that can ruin your day. And there's a certain point where none of that stuff really matters. What matters is the people that you're close to, that you care about, that you actually deeply care about. Those are the people that matter. Everything else is kind of white noise, and that's personally how I stay happy, because I don't allow too much to really get into my head. And that was a learned thing. That was not a natural thing for me. So that's just my personal thing.
I'm with you on that one, and I don't think that helping others or focusing on ourselves are mutually exclusive. I think that is a process, and the picture that I want to paint here is this: we all want to help others, but how can we help others if we are not strong enough? How can other people depend on you when you are not strong enough? So that's how I think about this. So the journey that I think is that's the third world problems, and then there are the first world problems. So first, I think first, take care of ourselves, meaning to say take care of our own backyard. Whether we are punching for fulfillment or for happiness or for helping other people, the thing is, how resilient are we? How strong are we in our beliefs? And just how willing are we to just keep going every day, with or without people encouraging us? I think that in itself is a very positive attribute. To me, it's positive. When I see people who can just keep going and going when everyone else says bad things about them, I will stake my bets on that person. He's gonna make it. Because as with one doer, there are 99 spectators. I won't want to spend my time with the spectators. I mean, like, it makes a good entertainment, but entertainment is just entertainment, and then that's it. So that's how I think about it. So let's take care of ourselves, get to a point where we are strong enough to deal with external forces that could shake us, and we can shake it off really easily, like dust them off. Then when we go out there and try to help others, we become a pillar of support. And the fact that we have done it, people who come to us, they can sense that confidence. They can sense it. And when you call a spade, and when you say things the way you say it, people might be uncomfortable, but they should not be doubtful. That's the difference. That's the difference. True mentors, like I have two mentors. One is my aunt, and one is one from my workplace. They make me uncomfortable every single day, and they tell me things straight to my face, as in they punch me with their words. But I think I learned so much more than patronizing comments. Right? And then, how do we deal with unhappy circumstances? I think with Yuantai's point that we always have a choice. Specifically, commercially, if you have that one unhappy prospect, question mark, right? Is that a prospect? You have not bought a single thing from me, and you're unhappy with what I'm doing. You're unhappy with what I say on social media. You're unhappy with the blogs that I wrote. You're unhappy with the things that I say or whatsoever, and that you're unhappy that I'm hogging all your post feeds in your social media platforms. I'm like, dude, you are an unhappy prospect. But 7 billion people minus one, I got how many more people that I need that I can talk to? So that's how I think. That's how I think about things. I think the important thing is a third world issue. So first, let's get ourselves strong enough. Then punch up. If not, if we go to the first world issues first, way before we take care of ourselves, there will be points where we will find ourselves out. And when we realize that we are hollow, it takes a while to actually get out of the rut. Like, oh my gosh, why is it like that? So I don't really like that. So that's just my perspective on tips. Take care of yourself. It's okay. It's okay, regardless of what other people say.
So I think my perspective, what I've learned through experiences, focus on things you can control. Yep. So I think it's really helped me in my happiness factor. So I think earlier in my career and my life, I try to focus on how I can control the outcome of either my business, my marriage, my children, being in control, right? But what I've learned over the years as I've matured, as I've gone through some hard setbacks, is focus on the things that you can truly control. There's things you can't control. Like right now, you can't control COVID.
Yep.
There. So why am I going to just focus on it? I can't really, at the end of the day, even if I go vote, right? I can control only so much of it, right? At the end of the day, it's beyond my control. So why am I going to spend so much of my energy and time getting stressed over politics, getting stressed over tonight's debate, or who's not going to be president, right? Or anything, right? I can't control if I have cancer tomorrow. I learned that the hard way, right? My father died at 59. He's not that old. And when he died, we had a business together. It was outside my control. There was nothing I can do to control that situation. So I can choose to be sad and not work and stop doing what I'm doing, or I can choose to go and continue working while he was in the hospital. So that's something I had to learn. And nowadays I learn it's the same way. I can't control what happens to me tomorrow, but I can control the moment that I'm still breathing and what I choose to do and make myself happy. So I think oftentimes, and I enjoy what you said, Tay, it is like, how how can you invest in other people? I do agree with that because it does shift your mindset. So I went through in 2007 and 8, around that time, I lost my business, right? So I had successful business, made good money as a young person, went through a bankruptcy, lost my father, went through a very dark time where I was kind of not understanding what my purpose was, upset. I had depression, took some medicine for it. But what got me out of it was actually shifting my mind off me and go, hey, how can I do things for other people? And when I started doing that, slowly it changed my mindset because I started running into people who they had a worse situation than me. I started meeting people that, I can actually still help them even in my current situation, and it did help me get out of my rut. And then I started doing jobs that I thought I was overqualified for, right? But instead of looking at, I'm above this job because I have these degrees and all this stuff, I start going, hey, how can I go in that business and help them? I changed my mindset. Instead of going, I'm too educated to go wash cars, or, this is beyond me because I used to make 6 figures and now you want to pay me 30K, Instead, I was like, how can I go in and just go help them? Because I'm more experienced. How can I help them? And stop looking at how much I was getting paid, how qualified I was. And slowly things started changing for me. I was like, okay, this kid wants me to go help them wash a car. I'll go wash a car. I don't care. And slowly I started seeing things change. And I think that is so true to happiness because my perspective shifted. All of a sudden, it's like, I don't need to be a business owner. I don't need to make this amount of money. Yes, my dad died, but there's people who have it a lot worse than me. I lost my business, but I can make a comeback. And then I started living again. And then, of course, I met my wife and things change. And, but I think that's so important. It's like our perspective really affects how we live, right?
Yeah, and how you shift that perspective as well. I think that's very important. Yeah, because if you like I just said, and Kevin, you just put it very beautifully. Because I was also, when I first started out my own coaching career, I had no know-how of how to build a business, and I don't even have the relevant network because all the network I had were from the pharmaceutical industry. So it's not too relevant to what I was doing. So I had to start from scratch. But I realized, same as you, Kevin, I realized that there are some people that I was able to give some advice, to help along and to encourage. So that was where I started on this self-discovery process, and also shifting my perspective. It's not just about me, not about what I don't have, but about how can I, with what I have, how can I help somebody else who may need it, or just a few steps behind me. Yeah. So that was a very good perspective to have. Yeah.
Because, for the audience out there, all of us have talents. All of you have skills. There's no one born with no value at all. You have some kind of value deep inside you that you can give to someone else. And it's the same thing, I think, with social media, right? A lot of people don't start content because they feel, I have nothing to say, right? I'm just repeating someone else's information. But it only takes one content, to change someone else's life, and you can make an impact. Who knows, right? And if you aren't putting stuff out there, you don't know who you're impacting. And I think that's so important. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. We all start, I have another show, right? 0 to Hero. We all start at 0, when it doesn't matter. The people who have 40,000 followers started at 0, and over time, they influence people.
Shit, I started 2020 with 200.
Yep. That's crazy. And now we have all these vehicles that we can use to make an impact, right? I look back in the 07, there was MySpace, right? And it was hard to build a business or anything after my bankruptcy. I was like, man, what can I do now? And it's like nowadays we have all these tools. It doesn't cost anything. It's amazing. Yeah. So I guess for the audience, happiness plays a big part in our everyday, and it's important. And next week, episode 31, we go talk about finding Leverman. So we go talk about how you can start over at 60. So so it's going to be a great conversation. And I just want to mention too, our show's actually sponsored by StreamYard, and they're the people that help us make this all possible so that we can stream on all these social media channels simultaneously at the same time. And feel free, reach out to us. We can give you a discount link where you can get $10 off if you want to start your Going Life journey. So head Aldric, Timothy, Jeremy, or myself up. Yep. So I appreciate everyone, and thank you so much, Ty.
Thank you for having me here. This is an awesome show. And Kevin, Aldric, Timothy, thanks guys for spearheading this initiative. And I'm so excited because this initiative, I see so much potential to positively impact the lives of so many people. Awesome.
Would you want to just do a brief shout out on your happy coaching?
Yeah. So if you would like to connect with me, I'm active on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You just type in Happy Coach Yuantai, you will find me. Or you can go to my website at www.happycoachyuantai.com. Yeah, happy to connect with you.
Yep. So don't worry, be happy. All right, guys. See ya.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good one.